Yes, there we are. Oh, it's a little dark. Oh, no, better. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you again. And yeah, before we start with this session, I have to tell you one thing that I will continue every Monday with a similar kind of thing between 1 and 2. But I call it the more like the Monday rendezvous. So I'll just play a little bit for you, and you can ask questions with the live chat as we did the last few weeks. But I cannot continue every day because I also already tomorrow I start with teaching the individual students from the conservatories online. So this is going to be the last kind of masterclass session. So today I'll try to talk a little bit about some loose ends, and of course you can also ask a lot of. Hey Dan, nice to see you again. So you can ask also today, of course, all your questions. And hey, hello Eric. So there were some. I tried to cover as much topics as you were requested. I think I did quite a lot of the topics like combined. There was still one question coming in yesterday about practicing, practice routine, and priorities. So maybe let's talk a little bit about that. And there was still one request from like 2 weeks ago about strike piano, and he actually asked. It was Hogne from Norway. He asked, "Make me play like Art Tatum," but I think that's not going to work. But I can tell you what I know about strike piano and how to practice it, and maybe different approaches. Hi, Martiras. So maybe we can first start with the strike piano, and then later talk about practicing and the practice routine and how to make effective way of practicing. So okay, for strike piano, I think, of course, similar as to what we talked about before, it's good to listen to a lot of examples and try to get the sound in your ears, but also try to copy things from the recordings, which of course sometimes is difficult if you're talking about Art Tatum. But Art Tatum, there are some really nice books. There's a book, it's called The Right Hand of Art Tatum. Okay. So so definitely, if you want to get into a more right hand lines of Art Tatum, definitely try to find that book, Art Tatum, The Right Hand Lines. But of course, the most important actually is the left hand and the rhythm. Hey Jochem, yeah, Jochem is actually he's a really expert on the stride. Yeah, Dick Hyman definitely he has a lot of masterclasses online. Dick Hyman is he has an amazing piano player. He can play a lot of different styles. He also made recordings where he plays one tune in 3 or 4 different styles. So really nice that Jochem mentioned Dick Hyman. Check out Dick Hyman. And yeah, so if you want to check like more like the really old school stride piano players, go for James P. Johnson. That's definitely one of my favorites. And actually there are quite a lot, but Earl Hines for sure, and Errol Garner also did some stride, of course, and Teddy Wilson. It's a very gentle player. It's actually a piano player who visited Holland a lot, and he worked with the Dutch Swing College Band even. And Dick Hyman, and of course Art Tatum, that we mentioned, and for like different approach to stride, which I will mention later, we can also listen to people like Oscar Peterson, like the really swing players, and even like Monk, and even like people like what I listen to a lot, the music, the recordings of Harry Connick Jr., who's more famous as a singer and actor, but definitely he's an amazing piano player, and he's really good into this stride also. Willie Lyon Smith, yeah, there are so many nice ones to Fats Waller, yeah, just keep coming, great. So the way I see it, I checked out some different approaches. The way I see it is you have like the full stride, and you have like the easy stride, and you have the funny stride. I always think about those three possibilities. So maybe let's first explain a little bit about the full stride. So the guys with the big hands, you need big hands, but otherwise you can always arpeggiate it. They used to do in the left hand 3 notes, even like 1, 5, 10. Let's say E flat. So even with small hands, you can even do it if you arpeggiate it really fast. So you could say on a major chord, Willie the Lion Smith smoke a cigar at the same time. Thanks, Bob. Okay. So you could say on a major chord, the possibilities are 1, 5, 10, or 1, 6, 10, or sometimes maybe even 1, 7, major 7, 10. So let's say if we go to the next chord, let's say the 2 can be 1, 7, 10. Or sometimes if one have minus 6. It's great for stretching. Yeah, it's Tuesday stretch. Okay, and diminished is kind of similar. It's like 1, flat 7, minor 1st. And sometimes you have these really nice inversions. So like, let's say E flat with a G in the bass. So that could be kind of the basic for the left hand for the full stride. So let's say then after that, the stride, the most important rhythm is of course the left hand on 1 and the 3, and the chord. So this on the 1 and the 3, and the chord on the 2 and the 4. And later we'll talk about like passing notes or like even like walking tenths. And so let's say if we do now the bass and the chord. Yeah, very good. And misbehaving. That's what I was aiming for. Yeah. Okay. So maybe first practice this really slowly. Yeah? Just like to get this really going. And a smoke cigar. Yeah, Bob. So if you cannot reach them, so I also cannot reach in one time. So arpeggiate really fast. That's important. Okay. So now let's add the right hand. We can maybe first practice only play the melody in single lines or maybe even octaves. That's already working. But of course, like the really full stride players, they also would play the right hand voicings even. So let's say we can do. Sorry. See, there you get this really full sound. That's cool. Yeah, and even like people like Earl Hines, he would play 5-note chords. So like. Yeah, but that's for the advanced players. Okay, so we already got kind of the basic thing for the full stride. And now, of course, like in the Tatum way, we can also play some fills in between. So let's say. So for that kind of thing, it's good to check this book. So I can just tell you a few tricks. So a few tricks that are good is like pentatonics. And sometimes even add like a chromatic in between. So like. Another one I found with Duke Ellington is like to use arpeggio. And then also use a chromatic passing note. Yeah, so those kind of things. Definitely also listen to a lot of recordings of Art Tatum, but actually all the great stride players, and try to put them between the melodies. So another thing that's good to think, to listen to and to practice is like what they call the walking tense. Yeah, to practice anyway, good. Yeah. There are a few options to practice for the walking tense. It's let's say if we go, you have to see, of course, to which chord you go. But first a diatonic one, maybe. I will go maybe first to another key. That's easier, like C. And so now it's fully diatonically. Or if you go from G7 to C. So let's say. G7 to C definitely works good with the walking tense. Also maybe blues in G. Yeah, the next one is like to also include the diminished chord. Let's say if you go from the 1 to the 4. So that we could just be in which tune. C7 to F. So those things are also good to practice, and it's also good for the stretching, of course. Yeah. And even like some players with really big hands can also do that at 1, 7, 10, like maybe like. Yeah, but I go for the 10. Any questions about this? Yeah, it's quite difficult, but if you build it up slowly, maybe even just take a simple tune like maybe like second dol, maybe, and maybe first try like that. that's cool. Cool. I like to practice. But maybe first tunes that are not too difficult, also for the position of the hand. Okay. Well, of course, this one is quite hard to improvise. Yeah, all of me. That of course, yeah, that's definitely the right style. Of course, also we have to find tunes that are in this style, and like this kind of approach works best, I think, with tunes from that era, and definitely also like some Gershwin tunes, and I like the kind of traditional standards. Yeah. But this one, I think, to improvise on the right hand is quite difficult. Maybe only you could do those fills that you already prepared before. No wing shorter. That would be really weird. But one approach for the left hand for stride that gives you more freedom for the right hand is like, yeah, I call it easy stride, and that's actually like using only a single bass note and then the shell voicing. As let's say if we go back to second ball maybe. So let's say only, and the best is if you can play the bass and the shell voicing that could actually really fit in one hand. And let's say if you see, so then you can actually also make more speed. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like no, not but power voicing, but more like 7/3 or 6/3 or major 7. So actually like this could be kind of a bit power voicing. Now the shell, I mean only the top one. So. And then this walking tense again. Yeah. So there's a lot of examples of this. Definitely Monk uses this kind of easy stride, and like I also heard Kenny Barron do this one, and also even like Dave Kikoski did it on Giant Steps. That would be like. So then with the original Coltrane solo. Okay, but that's a kind of a weird way of practicing stride. But definitely you could try it. Yeah. Okay, so then of course it's important to be able also to find the right harmonies or approach chords, because sometimes you have like long time the same chord, so you have to make some bass line maybe. Let's say if you have long time, let's say C major for a long time, we cannot do all. So we could maybe do. So actually, but then in the to fill up the C, but still C major. So let's say, yeah, for instance, if you have a blues like. So this one I kind of arrange, so like I always play the same, and and then you can try to later to put the right hand the solo, maybe not too fast. So then of course the most important is we have to keep going with the left hand. That's very important. So even if the right hand gets in trouble, just keep going with the left hand. That's important. Yeah. And so try maybe some different tunes. Try some different tunes with this approach. Small hands. Yeah, you're right, Bob. Like, if you have small hands, you can go faster. Yeah, but for the stride, I think it's really nice to. It's easier if you have big hands. I think. Yeah, especially if you want to do the. See, like in that, like trying to play some standards, but of course, a little bit in the style. A little bit in the style, and then first try to play the melody, and then then we go for the improvisation. Yeah. Lulu's back in town. Yeah, actually, for that one, maybe listen to the Monk version. He has really funny chords. But I think like Oscar Peterson also recorded it, and he does more like. I think he starts more like. I forgot it. That one I have to check. It's too long ago. But the Monk version is definitely cool, and the Peterson version. Yeah. So what I listened, what I heard with Harry Connick, he did some funny stuff also with the rhythm. So I kind of call it the funny stride. So let's say the left hand can even do like kind of cross rhythms or even like turn the beat. So actually, it's hard to find, I think, the recording. But if you can find the recording of "Our Love Is Here to Stay," Harry Connick Jr. solo piano, that's really cool. So what he does sometimes, I like, of course, this is the melody. Right. So he turns the beat around. So actually, it's a displacement. So that might be a funny thing to practice. And another thing he does is like the left hand shifted 1/8 note. So let's say. So that's actually quite difficult. But it's a funny displacement in the stride that you never hear. With the old stride masters. Yeah, definitely Benny Green. I'm sure he's also a master in this kind of stuff because he's really like in the style of Oscar Peterson. So I think he was inspired a lot by his hero. Another thing we could practice that Harry Connick does is using actually the quarter note triplets. So let's say. So that's another thing. I even there was one student, a master student in Amsterdam. He even went like for stride in 5/4, 7/4. But let's forget it. Okay, so yeah, I think that's definitely a good thing just to add, like some funny ideas. I also found one with I think it was Fats Waller. He also did like a 3/4 instead of a 4/4. So it's like a displacement. Eh? So like on the blues, he did like. Yeah, so like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, but that's definitely like a very special variation that he did. Yeah. Muppet Show. Oh, can be nice too. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a complete different style, but it's nice you mentioned like Michel Camilo, but that's a very specialized style that I'm not really good in. But I checked one thing he did one time, like one. So always like the bass note on the 4. So. Yeah, but to get into that kind of style, really listen to Michel Camilo. I think this tune was called Caribe. Caribe, that's a nice one. Yeah, and one kind of style stride variation I mentioned, I think before last week, is one I like is from Oscar Peterson. He does bass on the 1, chord on the 2 end. Let's say. Could be maybe, I don't know, like. So like 1, 2 ends, and the most time 4 ends, 1. Yeah. So maybe like a minor blues. Mirage, that's it. Yeah, I'm already weeks I'm looking for this title. Thank you, Eric. It's Mirage. Yeah, that's it. Great. So I used it on a few recordings this technique actually because it's really nice. You can still keep going with the right hand. You have more freedom than with the stride hand. Yeah. Any questions? And of course, what you can maybe first do to build it up, your practice of the stride is maybe first take a ballad, where I go straight to the fast tunes. Well, actually, now I was playing on the 1, but the what is it? And like the pickup to the 1 is on the 4 end. So, yeah, to make really clear the 1. Yeah. Super. Yeah, nice. So maybe and ballads are maybe a good one to first to get into the stride, and definitely also if you if you have like restaurant gigs or something, definitely it sounds cool. And maybe like like Body and Soul, for instance, could be a nice one to practice. Yeah, and I think yeah. So for maybe suggested tunes, like ballads like Body and Soul, or maybe like in a sentimental mood, like all kind of traditional ballads. Yeah, it's called jumping. Yeah, that's I think that's even before the stride, but definitely for your left hand jumping, it's good to practice ragtime for sure. Yeah. Uh, actually, also the one I played in the first session we did, I Got Rhythm from Gershwin, but he has really big jumps. You have like this. I will So that's a really cool version. There's his own piano arrangement he did on I Got Rhythm. It's on my website from the first session. Voice leading in slow tune. Yeah, voice leading is always important, of course. Yeah. For those big jumps, would you recommend the pink or the middle finger? For the bass, yeah, for the big jumps, I also always go for the little finger. Yeah, yeah, and of course, and because sometimes it can also be an octave, so you need both. Yeah, yeah. So about voice leading, can be an extension of the arm. But for the bass, you mean? I don't know. For me, it feels more comfortable with the little pinky. Yeah. Okay. No, I think definitely if you practice that a lot, then we'll be more comfortable. But for me, more comfortable is the small one. Yeah. So about voice leading, of course, what we also do with normal reorganization, we can use approach chords, but we can also use like chromatic movement. That's similar kind of thing as if you would do with voicing. If you do like a so that could also work in the stride, of course. That's another tune. Okay. Yeah, so definitely also think about like a chromatic movement or tritone dominance, even combined with this diatonic movement. 1, 2 minor, sharp 2, diminished 1 with the third in the bass. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So of course it's a very specific style, but I think definitely to get into it for a while, if wouldn't hurt. And also definitely for your tempo feel, it's good if you have to keep going with the left hand all time on every beat. Yeah. So maybe for that would be good actually to use the metronome if you do this. To get it really good in tempo, and then maybe at the right hand. And like definitely because if you start soloing, it could be that the left hand loses it. So maybe first practice the left hand with the metronome that is really steady, and then go for the solo. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Eric. Yeah, but of course it's a version with the trio, so there's not so much stride. But thanks for the compliment. Okay, so one that's also really nice to listen to. There's a recording of Kenny Barron on this solo piano series live at Maybach, and then he even uses only one note bass and one note for the chord. Actually, that could even also work. For me, it's more difficult. But he does like. Yeah, so that's kind of a really empty stride you can call. Yeah. So, but then of course he plays like a double time solo in the right hand. That's killing. So that definitely also works. Yeah. So we have a lot of actually different approaches to the left hand, like really full, and like 3 notes, 4 notes, 3 notes, 4 notes, and then we have like two notes like tenths, and then we have even like only bass, and then shell, or only bass, 1 note, and most time of course the important note, like the third or the seventh. Yeah. Okay. I think that's kind of yeah, that's true. Yeah, Skylark is also there's he also used some really nice stride. It's on the record Green Chimneys. That's the same, the one I talked about last week with the rhythmic variations. Yeah, yeah, and he has a really definitely really steady left hand, and he can play all these super fast lines in the right hand. Yeah, Skylark, check that out. Kenny Barron on Green Chimneys. Yeah. Yeah, Petrucciani. That's actually true. Yeah. But so what he did, I remember, because actually one time he came to The Hague for a masterclass, Michel Petrucciani, and there were 2 grand pianos in the hall, in the concert hall, and but nobody dared to play. Everybody's afraid to play with him. So then I went to the stage and I said, yeah, I would like to play. And then actually we played the Caravan together, and he showed also like his left hand. He had huge hands. That was, I think, the only thing that was huge about him. Sorry, but so what he did is actually C7. He used this one. So root 7/3, flat 9 7/3. So like, and for the F minor he did. And then strange thing is like in the left hand he would continue with this in the solo, but in the right hand he would just play a complete different material. So like flat flat 9 in the left hand, and right hand bebop scale. But it sounded really cool, like. Just keep going with this left hand thing, which is kind of a prefab thing, and then the right hand, yeah, you can play incredibly long lines and fast. It's super nice, yeah. But I also heard a version of Dick Hyman that Jochen mentioned before of Caravan, and he had also a really nice harmonization for the left hand. So C7, he would start on the 5. So it also sounds a little bit like E diminished to F minus 6. And that's kind of related again to the Barry Harris diminished 6 scale. Yeah. So, yeah, Dick Hyman had incredible left hand variation on a lot of tunes. So really check out Dick Hyman. Yeah. I think there's even there used to be like a DVD or like CD-ROM from Dick Hyman where you can walk through the 52nd Street and you can go all the different bars virtually, of course, and you could hear like Bill Evans play, and then he would explain how to sound like Bill Evans. It's really cool. I don't know if it still exists, but you have to try. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I know about stride. Yeah, so you have to find some nice licks for the right hand. Oh, actually, what's really Century of Jazz Piano. Thanks, that's it. Yeah, it was also really nice. Like some old stride piano players, instead of only the or like what else we had? What they also do, they make fills with double notes, and that's really nice. I forgot which player it was, but you know, there's this one F major. It's like fifth going in. So let's say if you have actually, that's kind of really typical sound that we also don't use so much in bebop, but it's really nice. Yeah, and one I also heard is like. Yeah, so now actually it's going more towards the ragtime style than the style we know like from Monk or Kenny Barron. Yeah, yeah. I hope it's on YouTube. So really, just try Google Dick Hyman Century of Jazz. Thanks. Cool. Okay, so that's kind of what I know about stride. So maybe oh no, there's one more. That's also funny. Like Count Basie also uses a lot like. So it's really kind of a little more like old school, yeah. But nice things to practice, yeah. Okay, so talking about practice, there was another subject. So of course, there were so many things to practice. So has somebody asked like, how would you kind of think about priority, what to practice first, and how would you kind of use your time effectively? And yeah, I also asked like, can you kind of recall how it was when you were a student? Well, that's quite long ago. But But I think, and also that time, but also definitely for a lot of people now, what works really good is like also sometimes stay with the subject a little longer with practicing. So let's say if you're now really into stride, then maybe like this whole week only practice stride and listen to a lot of recordings and check out stuff and copy stuff, and then try to apply the things you learned from one tune on another tune. That's always my kind of rule. Like because otherwise it will be always only associated with the tune where you took it from. And so that's definitely a good thing to practice. Stick to a subject for a while. But I think the most important that you should never forget is that practicing should always be fun. It should also always be nice to practice. If you practice like too much, like almost like how to say like too, yeah, like a program that's every day the same, then the fun is gone. So it's maybe better to think like, okay, now I'm getting tired of this subject, then move to something else. Yeah, it shouldn't be painful. No, for sure, it shouldn't be painful. Yeah, but yeah, unfortunately, a lot of times people that yeah, like enter the first year of the conservatory, they suddenly start playing piano so long and so many days after each other that a lot of people they get kind of injuries. So you have to be also careful for that. So if you practice like for a while, you practice like difficult things like technique or like fast things or block chords or whatever, then try to then sometimes also go like to really relax things to practice, but that are same effective and same use. And like how about like practicing voicings in a slow tempo, practicing new tunes, practicing like rubato, and like so that also the arms and the hands can relax. That's very important. I had one student he practiced like the whole week only like Red Garland, and then he had really problems with his elbows. So that could I think it could be a useful tip. Like also make a lot of variation in your practice, technique wise, and also like about strength and speed. So even if you even if you don't have so much time, then you can still practice really effective. But you have to kind of you have to really know what is your goal, like what you want to yeah what you want to achieve on the long term and what you want to achieve in the short term. That's also really important. So David has like, oh, that's a good one. Yeah, take one player. Yeah, so that could be definitely could be a really good goal, like to stay with one player that you really like, and then check out everything he did. The only the danger is that you can kind of sound like a copy of somebody, and which is, I think is not wrong, but it's better than to also sound more like somebody that collected a lot of stuff and combined it in his own way. Oh yeah. That was Barry Harris. He also had lessons with her, or not? Sophia Rossov. Yeah, yeah, and of course, about technique, there are also a lot of different approaches and different schools. Already in the classical technique, you have like more the arm weight, and more with the rotation. But that kind of technical stuff is good to check with classical players. uh, yeah, so of course, definitely studying other music, like classical or like I don't know, funk or pop or even Latin or that of course can definitely be a nice also variation in your practice. And yeah, your own music you should definitely work on for sure. But now I'm actually more talking about practicing, like for people to get really effective, a lot of new material actually. So of course your own music is very important, and definitely composing is a very important part of being a musician. So and composing or arranging with a personal touch. But a lot of times you get kind of the ideas and the inspiration also from the music that already exists. I mean, there's so much music already played and written, um, so it doesn't hurt to listen and to check out a lot of great examples that were before you. And like if you go straight to your original music, you might miss a lot of important musical aspects. Some people they say, yeah, I don't want to practice like other people's solos because I'm afraid I will use it. So that's really weird. So it's same like learning a language. Like you want to just immediately start speaking your own language, or maybe you should first listen to other languages and learn some words and some phrases. So I think so important is definitely a lot of variation in the practice, and I don't mean like every day different style, but I mean like working, for instance, like part of your practice on technique, part of your practice maybe on voicings, maybe part of the practice on lines, maybe one part on rhythm, and like all the things we talked about the last 2 weeks actually. And but make every time like a different schedule. Don't start 10 minutes technique, 10 minutes voicing, because then also the fun is gone. Yeah. How many hours a day did you practice when you study at the conservatory? Yeah, actually, if you it depends what you consider practicing, because practicing for me also is like having a rehearsal, or it's like playing like a new music with the school big band, or it's also like doing assignment for theory. That's all practicing basically, and or like listening to the same Parker record in the car for 2 weeks. That's also practicing. But like real piano practice, I can say my last school year, at the end I practiced 12 hours per day, and I don't know. No, yeah, definitely it worked because I got the highest the highest point. Okay, sorry, showing off. But of course, at that same time, I also practiced a lot of classical because we always had the main subject lesson I had with Rob van Greveld, and it was combined classical and jazz. So like 1 week I would study really on the French suites of Bach, and then he would say, "Okay, can you play Lush Life?" So that kind of stuff. Um, and also arranging, composing, setting up your own projects, like a trio, or even at that time I was working with an octet with 5 horns, so I had to arrange a lot. So that's all actually all practice. Yeah, practicing is playing records and getting drunk with your friends as well. Now, Bob, I think definitely playing records is very important. Getting drunk, that's okay. That's your personal idea, but but like there's really big difference between playing a record and at the same time doing something else. Actually, I saw a really nice Facebook post from Hans Montel, one of the jazz history teachers. He said, just take one, not only one tune, but take like a whole record or whole CD, and just turn off your phone and listen to the whole thing without stopping. Because a lot of times musicians also had a kind of idea like the order of the tunes, and like there was kind of like a story or connection between all the songs on a recording. So actually, it's or when it's a live recording, it's like a whole set. So that's also an important thing to listen to, not like on Spotify go immediately to the next one. So that's I think that's really important. Listening, there are different degrees. It's like you can have like the passive listening, it's just run the record and start cooking. But you can also really listen in detail. Detail, there we go again. Detail is very important. So sometimes you can listen to the same song even, and maybe one time you can really listen to, for instance, the way the piano player or the horn player plays the theme. They can already be really, you can learn a lot from that. Like phrasing wise, articulation, timing, but also like what kind of rhythmic variations they make. And then the next time you can of course check out like the piano solo or the saxophone solo that you really like, and then go deeper into that and try to copy things what I said, and then maybe try to transpose them, try to make variations. So that's already like 1 week work with the same recording, and then you can maybe even like play again the same record and listen to the comping of the piano player, and like the rhythmic aspect of the comping, what kind of voicings he use, what kind of top notes, what is the relation with the solo, and then you can maybe play again the same record and then see like what is the rhythmic connection between the piano player and the drummer, or is there like a harmonic connection, the bass player and the piano player. So like by listening, if you listen really to the details, you can actually work on a one tune 1 month or maybe 2 months. Do you still practice classical tunes for technique or for new harmonic ideas? Yeah, definitely. If I have time, I like to practice classical, but the last few years there's not so much time because I teach like 4 days a week, so that's quite long. I still kind of use a lot of ideas from classical music that I checked out before. Yeah. So for me, my favorites were always like the impressionists, like Ravel, Debussy, and harmonically, but also like voicing wise, or like and like technique wise. There's so many things you can find in classical music, and what we always say is like you can try to invent a lot of things yourself, but actually most time in the classical music they already did it. Yeah, so like you can think like okay, really nice voicing for a dominant. This could be really nice if you want to have a low one. So like a dominant with a 7 and a 9. That's from Ravel, from Barron. Ja, geen dag zonder Bach. Great Bob, yeah. Yeah, Bach is definitely for the independent and for the like more voices, like polyphonic. It's really good to practice. Yeah. Thanks for Ferdinand. Yeah. So what's actually also cool for solo piano, I think not so much for playing in the trio or in the band, but for solo piano, sometimes I try to kind of copy like kind of the techniques from a classical piece. Like for instance, you have like sometimes you have like these arpeggios that work really good. So like say if you have like I think it's kind of Bach. If you like, or like even like oh yeah, this one also cool. I think that's actually also from Debussy, I think. Or not? Yeah, Chopin. Oh, from Chopin. Okay. And this one I found. You know this one. What is it? So that kind of thing with the two voices moving inside and outside. I also practice a little bit like on other voicings, like other chords. Let's say. Yeah, maybe do like. It's like, of course, it's not like it's not a thing that Bach Powell would play, but it's definitely a nice technique that actually comes from classical. Yeah. Oh yeah, I also wrote a tune like that on it. Yeah, so I try to actually use a lot of these kind of different ideas in a book I wrote like 2 years ago, the Flower Suite for Piano. and every tune has like a different technique. You can listen for free on my website. So like the nice thing was like the first one was actually inspired by a technique from Brad Meldau. It's like you're like dividing the hands in like 4 parts. So let's see if I still know. It's like and like in the rhythm is like complementary, left hand, right hand. And that could be a nice thing. And the other technique was actually what I spoke about before. We have to like and the left hand, the idea was to have a bass line and a melody. And then so you get so that's kind of a classical technique, but with more later in the tune with more jazz harmonies. So that kind of stuff, definitely I kind of was inspired by classical music. Yeah. And there was one that was kind of based on solfeggio from the son of Bach, I think. I did like. So like kind of really fast lines divided in 2 hands. So actually, there was also one of the requests for a topic, like what did you do with classical inspiration? So this is it. Yeah, one I think I already showed, but I want to show again. It's like Ravel used like this augmented triads in the left hand. And I think I already showed the forlane. So I try to apply that same sound on some standards. Wow, that sounds hip. So I have no idea what kind of chord it is. No. So this sounds a little bit like we have to ask a theory teacher. Yeah. So let's say if we only go for the lesson for augmented triads, I found a few tunes where we can use it that already have kind of a melody that's kind of similar to forlane. Like if you. See, it's a complete different sound. It's more like kind of Nardis in the Ravel style, and then maybe you would solo. And so they're kind of using augmented sounds. That's cool. It's a little different. And it also works as an exercise on solar. sound. Actually, I remember my old teacher, Rolf Kreelt, he played one time, but it was a little scary. He played on the radio Waltz for Debbie with that sound. I'll show you. It's a little scary. See, so it sounds a little bit like a horror movie to me. But maybe also like a... And so every major becomes major plus 5, every minor becomes minor major 7. And dominant you can choose just an augmented triad, or like even like dominant with a sharp 9, sharp 11. Sorry, let's say if you have a... so that's where you can... Oh, it could also be... So basically the two augmented triads that are also in the whole tone scale. Are there any questions about this strange sounds? But sometimes it's nice to use it, but not too much, please. No. I also I tried one time even like playing giant steps with only that sound. Like if you just, get out of it. That is maybe okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I jumped too fast. Yeah, it's from strike piano to Ravel. That's a little big step. Okay. So which skills? So with the augmented triads, definitely. It's we talked about it before, but it's the augmented scale, and it's very easy to find if you think of the, let's say, the triad, and you play the leading notes towards the triad. You see? But on a major plus 5 chord, you can actually also use melodic minor from the 6. Yeah, melodic minor from the 6, and harmonic minor even from the 6. So let's say. Yeah, so you have augmented, harmonic minor, and melodic minor. Okay, so maybe time for a last question. I see it's already quite long. So anyway, if you don't forget, I will be there every Monday, and then you can just ask whatever you like, and I'll play some tunes for you maybe. So at least hope to see you next Monday. And so the last 12 sessions we did, they will stay on YouTube, and I saw really a lot of people are checking the first and the second, so that's good to maybe transcribe and practice. And then hope to see you Monday, and thanks all for watching, and have a nice day. Okay, see you later, bye bye.